Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in again. You can see right here in front of me is a brand new Google Home Hub. I'm going to get it opened up today, get it set up here in my home and show you what it's all about at first glance. All right, now let's go ahead, get this opened up, show you what's inside the box. The first thing I noticed, I'll tell you right off the bat, was how small this box is. Now, I have a Lenovo Smart Display here in my home, and I also have this device now and a number of tablets, of course. But what has struck me about this, and even as I open it up, you can see right here, it is incredibly small. So the screen size is just blowing me away right out of the box. So that's it. That's the entire device right there. Now inside, of course, there's just another compartment here that you're basically going to lift up. And this is what you're getting inside here. You can just see your power cable here and a couple of getting started menus here. All right, now I did get everything out of the box. You can see there's a couple of manuals here, basically a warranty and a safety manual and how to get started. Now, of course, that's why you're watching this video. The power adapter nowadays is a very standard AC adapter from Google. So this is what we're seeing in the newer devices here. There's no more USB connection. So, and that goes right into the back of the device. So you can see right here where the device has its power adapter. Okay, now I think it took me about 2 minutes to get all the plastic film off here, but you can see the device, it is about that 7-inch display. So if you had a large iPhone XS Max, it's really very close to the same size. Now, a couple of features to talk to you about here. On the back is actually your volume control right here. So if you're not using your voice, you can use that volume control. Of course, there's the little Google symbol right up here. And there is also right here, the power adapter place. And of course, the mute microphone spot here on the device. A couple more features to tell you about here. On top, you're actually seeing some ambient light and color sensors here that can actually see different spectrums of the light. And of course, there is the far field microphone array here on your Google Home Hub as well. So let's go ahead and get this plugged in and we'll start to talk about the functionality of the device. All right, now I've gone ahead, I've plugged in my Google Home. We're gonna get it set up here and I'm gonna show you some of the screens here on this camera over here. Now, what I'm going to do is roll through the Google Home application. It's very, very simple, but what I wanna tell you is you need the Google Home app. It is either for iPhone or Android. Go ahead, get either of those. And if you already have a Google account and that's the one you want to use to set up this device, you will need one of those. So let's go ahead and get this set up. Now, inside of my iPhone here, I'm going to go into the Google Home application. And as I do that, you're going to go to the home screen here and you can hit the add button, but there's also a discover button and you can see right on the screen here, it actually has a name of that device. They're calling it Google Home Hub 9789. So you can go into the discover menu, or this is probably the easiest for most people, is hitting add here right at the top of the Google Home application. Then I'm going to tap set up device and set up new devices. Now here I have to choose a home and I actually have multiple homes set up here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, forget about it. You just have to choose a home that you're going to set this up in, and you could create a second one. This is functionality, I think, for the future right now, so I'm just going to hit next, and it is going out and looking for this device now. Okay, so it's found multiple devices. It's showing me I could set up more smart home lights, but ultimately the Google Home Hub is what I want to set up, and I'm hitting next. Now, we're coming up to the part where you're going to need Wi-Fi credentials. If you're like me and you've already put Wi-Fi credentials in this in this application actually, then you don't need to do that again, but they will ask you this. Now, do I see the code? Yes, I see the code on both devices, so I'm just hitting yes. Do I want to help improve Google Home Hub with statistics being sent? I'm going to choose no on that. And they're also telling me that the Google Home Hub, because I'm in Canada and I imported this device, it may not work with my Wi-Fi network. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK there. Now, next up, I have to choose where this device is going to be, and this is where we're going to get into a little bit of commentary. For me, the Google Home Hub sits in a living room or a bedroom, and there's a couple of reasons for that. In a living room with a Chromecast enabled TV, or one that has a Chromecast physically plugged into it, this device is going to be able to cast to the Chromecast TV, and so you're going to be able to speak to this device and have things show up on your TV. That's very nice functionality as far as I'm concerned. On top of that, there is no camera on the Google Home Hub, so that's a very important distinction from devices like the Lenovo Smart Display and the JBL Link View. Those devices do have a camera on board, so putting it in a bedroom, probably not the best idea in terms of privacy, and Google has come out and said, we're not going to do that specifically for that reason. It's also a relatively small smart display, so the 7 inches here, I think, puts it in a space where you could put it very comfortably on a bedside table and leave it there for yourself. So again, I'm going to put this in my living room personally, and we're going to start using that Chromecast capability. So I'm going to go ahead, hit next, and it wants me to create a unique name. I'm just going to leave that name for now. And now I've got to choose my Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now it sits here for about a minute and it goes through the connection process to Wi-Fi. Again, if you didn't already have those credentials plugged into the Google Home application, you would need to do that now. Now moving on to setting up Google Assistant. So that's what powers the Google Home Hub, if you don't already know. It's basically what you're speaking to all the time. Now, they want to tell you about their partners and privacy settings, and I'm going to let you read all about that. I'm just going to hit next for now. Now, the next part is teaching the Google Assistant your voice. Now, I've done that multiple times here in my home, so Google doesn't allow me to do that anymore. But teaching the Google Home Hub here your voice, basically, it's going to allow you later to get personal results and to kind of secure the device in a number of ways. Now, here's where they're talking about getting personal results. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and agree to that. I'm also going to agree to my address being put in here because that helps with navigation in the future. So I'm going to hit next on that, and we're into the media services. Now, again, because I have an account already here, I already have set up YouTube Music, Spotify, Google Play Music. I could hit that plus right there and set up Deezer if I'd like, but for right now, I'm just going to leave those music services. Basically, all it is you have to hit the plus, put in credentials to that account, and you're good to go. In the case of Google Play Music or YouTube Music, they're actually using that Google account that you put in here. So that's an important component that if you have YouTube Red or the YouTube Premium Music, you're not going to want to use a different account to set up the Google Home Hub. You're going to want to use that same account. Now, next is duo calling, and this is interesting actually. My phone number's already been put into Google Home's application for previous uses where I just made phone calls with my Google Home or my Google Home Mini. Now, the duo calling gives you that access to your contacts there on Duo. But the important thing to remember here is there's no camera. What they will let you do is audio duo calling. So I'm going to go ahead and hit use duo here. If you didn't have that set up, you'd have to put in your phone number and authorize that usage basically. Now, choosing an ambient mode, what I'll tell you is later you can adjust this setting. Right now I'm going to choose just basically a full screen clock, and then later we'll change that to a mode called experimental mode, which allows you to connect to Facebook pictures. So now I've got to go ahead and choose a clock. Otherwise, I'd have to have chosen albums that I wanted displayed on this, but I'm just going to choose one of these here. I think I like the look of that one, and I'm going to hit next. Now, they're basically telling me I'm done. I could go ahead and review any of my choices previously, but now I'm just going to hit next, and it's all set up and ready to go. So one of the features that I think was very important from Google here is this ambient EQ light sensor. So this is on the top of the device, and it automatically adjusts the screen brightness up and down in the room, or based on the room lighting actually. So that's an interesting little feature there. I told you about the mic mute switch and the volume controls on the back of the device. These are standard things for the Google Home Hub, and we are now at the point where we're ready to go. So there is one last thing I have to do. I do actually have to hit finish setup here on the device, and now we're completely ready.
Welcome to your Google Home Hub. It has the Google Assistant built in.
Hi, how can I help?
So you can use your voice to get help at a glance.
Alright, so that was quite the demo video actually that Google gives you when this device first starts up. Obviously I couldn't show you that whole thing, but ultimately the Google Home Hub is now set up. What I'm going to do now is switch the perspective of the camera. I need to get you a good shot of this device, and what I need to do next is go through a number of the functions that you can use right out of the box. So let's get going with that. Similar to the other smart displays on the market, you swipe to the left to bring up the menu just at the start here. You can see the date, the time, the weather, and then you can swipe over to the left to get your news, your music, YouTube, and then there's kind of routines and extra functions here. And then you can explore more of what your assistant can do. These are just other visual cues for you for other things that you can do. Obviously, you can ask the Google Assistant almost everything or anything, but these are just some of the main things that people tend to use. Again, very similar to other smart displays. Now, swiping from the top to the bottom, you actually get your home control screen, and I went into the lights right away, but you also have media and the ability to broadcast as well. Now, inside of media, you can choose any of your Google Cast enabled devices and you can cast to them.
What's the message?
Hello. And then the broadcast capability, you're just instantly asked what you'd like to broadcast across your home. Now it'll just broadcast that out across all your devices in that home. And there is also a capability of viewing rooms, and this is what you're seeing on the latest Google Home application. This is the control interface that you have there. So you can see all of this capability is there right away. Now when you actually just hit play like that on your device and you're not actually telling the Google Assistant what you'd like to hear, it's actually going to make the choice for you, and then sometimes that's going to hit the mark and sometimes it's not. So it's a bit of a random thing there. Stop. Now, one of the key functions, of course, is to manage your calendar. You can add an event simply by tapping, or you could ask the Google Assistant to do the same here.
What's the title of the event?
You can obviously go through and tell it when and what the title is. And, in general, this is the same functionality that you will find with your Google Assistant. Once you've created that event, as long as you have the Google Calendar app on your iPhone or your Android device, which it would come natively on, you're going to get that event as a reminder. And then you can see it's also showing up on the smart display itself. Now, again, back through the menus, the news, the music, and YouTube, those are connected services here natively. And you can see that right there. That's the good night routine that I have already set up as part of the Google Home application.
Good night,
so
Brian.
When I tap on it, it actually runs through that full routine. 50%. Now, of course, we can always use the Google Assistant to adjust a number of things. You can adjust the volume, and then also what you'll notice is if you swipe up from the top, you have a couple of different sliders here. There's the brightness, and that turns off that ambient EQ mode. You can also go into some about the device, and you can also adjust your sound or your volume level there as well. So That menu down at the bottom also contains a do not disturb mode, so you can turn that on or off, or you can ask the Google Assistant to do that. Now, of course, home control is a big portion of this, and not only can you do things with your voice, but you can also then, through the interface here, actually change things like the colors, the brightness, navigate through all the lights in the room as well. So very impressive visual interface as well. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and cast to your other cast enabled devices through your voice here, and that's where this starts to really work well as a device in a living room or in a bedroom as well. YouTube videos, you can ask just to be shown how to do something, and it will bring up YouTube's first search result on that topic. News capabilities are all there, everything that you would expect from the Google Assistant. You can get news from different sources, and you can set those up in the app. Now, of course, with all the latest news service updates from Google, you can actually just ask for specific topics of news if you'd like, or just the positive news as well. If you need it as well, there's a visual interface for weather once you've actually asked for it. And then, of course, there is the fantastic Google Duo calling, which is audio based, but you can see the other individual as you make the phone call. There is a ton of other settings to deal with in the Google Home application. Now you can see Basement Living Room 2. That is my new Google Home Hub. I'm going to tap on that, and you can see I can adjust the volume here. And then I'm going to be able to go into the settings, which is at the top. You can see the linked accounts, the name, the home that this device is in, the group, Wi-Fi, and digital well-being all there. I can obviously adjust the room that I'm in if I'd like. I can even adjust which rooms it's in, so this allows you multi-room audio. So I just went ahead, I tapped on those. I could add it to both of those groups if I want, but I've added it to one. Now there's the equalizer, and I could adjust the equalizer to hear the speaker play a little bit differently, and I can change the default speaker and pair another Bluetooth speaker to it if I'd like. Something else that's important to do is to choose a default TV. Then I don't have to say that I want to cast it to Basement Chrome. I've chosen that. Now every time I say just play Netflix or something, it will go to that Basement Chrome immediately. Now, of course, there's the alarms and timer settings. It's really just the volume right there. Now, there is the display adjustment mode. So, do you want it to activate in low light? So, you kind of dim it here during low light, or what do you want to show during those times? You can also deal with ambient EQ and whether you'd like it to be a little bit dimmer or a little bit brighter based off of the settings that Google brings with a device. Now, of course, night mode with a device like this is going to be important. If it's a bedside table device, you can go ahead and enable that, and then it will be relatively quiet at night. There's the do not disturb mode, which again, you can turn on the device physically if you'd like through that menu swiping up from the bottom. And here's where you adjust ambient mode. So I'm going to switch it to Facebook, and you would have to connect your Facebook account if you hadn't already done this, but you can go ahead and make the adjustment to that experimental mode. Pick the albums you'd like to just roll through here, and then you have the more settings where you can show the weather, show the time, and I like to hide the personal photo data because then it doesn't show my name on every picture here. Of course, there's all kinds of accessibility options, which I'll go through at a later date as well. And there's the paired Bluetooth devices. You can enable the pairing mode through your voice if you'd like, or do it there and then pair a device. Now, down at the very bottom, the one thing you're going to want to note here is the system firmware version, the cast firmware version, your country code, your language. All of those things are important going forward. But for now, this is a good run through of the device settings that you can go ahead and adjust right off the bat. So there you have it, everyone. That's our setup, our unbox video here for the Google Home Hub. I hope this has helped you out, worked out for you. Obviously, I want you to join up here with our channel. I'm going to show you how we go and use this device now. And of course, I'm going to compare it to some of its competitors here, the Google Home Hub versus the Lenovo Smart Display. And of course, the Amazon Echo Show. We have to talk about that as well, how those devices are stacking up. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.